Welcome to the Pump Take Sports Show. Today we are going to be talking about award predictions for the NBA season. MVP, MIP, Rookie of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year. We'll hop right into it right away. We're going to go in order, just around us all here about who we think the winner of each award is going to be. Give our spiel on it, and there probably will be some overlap, but that's totally okay because that's how the NBA voting works anyway. So to start off, I'll talk about the guy I think is going to win MVP this year, and that is Anthony Davis, AD. So here's my case for AD winning MVP. LeBron has already said that he's going to hand much more of the team over to AD in this coming season, being LeBron's 18th year in the league. There is no reason why AD cannot improve more as a player because he's in his prime right now, but more importantly, within the Lakers system. One more year with LeBron, one more year with the Lakers just offensive scheme, offensive system, one more year with Frank Vogel, one more year with the offensive playbook. All of these things taken into consideration, I see AD's offensive game being much more streamlined and much more efficient because players around him will know more about his tendencies as a player rather than they do in the first season when they're playing with him. Additionally, I think AD is absolutely going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he might be the best defender in the NBA. So that taking into consideration as well is another reason why I think he's going to win MVP. The Lakers are also the clear favorite to win the NBA championship this year and will win a lot of games, which is something that the MVP voters take into vast consideration. Compared to a guy like Luka, who, as you know, we were talking about this off air, if KP isn't healthy or the Mavericks just don't win as many games as the Lakers, which they probably won't, that is going to be something that hurts Luka's case for MVP rather than it would hurt AD's case for MVP. And the reason why I'm not giving it to LeBron is because I think LeBron is going to take a little bit of a step back this year, given that he's like 36 and is just getting older and older. So Giannis, the other thing, his other big competition would be Giannis. And I don't think Giannis is going to win because of voter fatigue. I just can't see him winning it again. So yeah, AD is my prediction. And with that, with my MVP prediction, we will move to Marco to talk about his MVP prediction.
I rate the AD prediction, Jake. I think it's a good one. I totally know what you're saying, but I am going to go with Luca Doncic as my prediction for the MVP this upcoming season. Last year, Luca Doncic averaged 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists. I'm just kind of rounding up and down. But the man next year, if he stays on this same path, there is no doubt in my mind that he can be a 30-point triple-double, which is insane. Last year, he shot 31% from 3, so he can clearly improve that as well. And yeah, I think the only thing that knocks him down, as you mentioned, Jake, is that he isn't on as good of a team as the Lakers. And that is clearly every year that we see, it is something that the voters take into consideration. And the reason that I think that Luka is he is the favorite right now in Vegas, and I think that he kind of should be, is because they love stories as well. You know, like Giannis, he's from Greece. He's had such a unique come up in the NBA, and voters love those stories. And what better story than Luca Doncic, a young guy that already right now is, I mean, if you don't have him in your top 10 players in the NBA, I think you're losing your marbles a little bit. And the man is like 5 years or 6 or 7 years younger than everyone else that you put in there, other than, well, he's even like 3 or 4 years younger than Giannis and like guys like AD and stuff. So yeah, I love the Luka Doncic pick for MVP. But yeah, I think the main thing that would hold him back is just hopefully Porzingis is healthy, and if the Mavericks can push into that, like, you know, first to maybe 4th or 5th or 6th place, and he is putting up a 30-point triple-double and having that kind of season, I think that is the reason that he's the favorite and that he's my favorite for MVP.
Yeah, and if I can just piggyback on that, I'll preface by saying Luka's my pick for MVP as well, and I think you touched on it well in terms of like what voters like to vote for, because as much as the MVP award is based on statistics, it's also very narrative based, and I think narratives are going to like to like the voters are going to really enjoy the Luka story, and we kind of see that trend already happening in NBA media that people are starting to already lean towards Luka before the season has even started.
Aiden, if you want to add your MVP pick.
Still going with Luka, so I'll just keep it brief. Not really original. I just think, Luka's obviously awesome. He just keeps accomplishing more. Like if you just look at his career accomplishments, like it just feels like the natural progression in his career. I think the Mavs got a lot better, not just in terms of like overall as a roster, but I think in terms of a fit around Luka, some of the players they acquired, I really like. Yeah, and I just think that'll help him. I think if the Mavericks can take that next step, it'll be enough, even if he just puts up the same numbers as last year. But if not, and if the Mavs can be a breakout team, kind of like everyone was saying, I just think the narrative and combined with the voter fatigue, and Luka is like, if anyone's making a push for being the face of the league outside of Giannis, it's definitely him, in my opinion. So I think the stars are kind of aligning there. I think it all just really, it does depend on how good the Mavericks are, but that's my pick also. So I think that is a really good prediction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hate to be redundant here, but my pick's also Luca Doncic for the MVP. I think just based on the fact that he's 20 years old and he's so young, and he did average, as Marco mentioned, 28.8 points last year. He was almost just a little bit below in each category, a 30-point triple-double. And I think just based on his age and his natural progression of his career, he has more than enough potential to potentially get to that 30-point triple-double, or even somewhere close to it that could put him in that MVP favorite range for sure. To touch on Jake's point about the Mavericks being not going to win as many games as the Lakers, I think that's a fair point to make. But I think that mostly applies for voter bias when a team fails to make the playoffs or underperforms in a year. I think the Mavericks are a team that could surprise in the regular season this year and potentially finish in the top half of the Western Conference standings. And I think that type of performance would lean heavily on Luka Doncic's performance in the season, and which would also kind of go in hand with the idea that he is the most valuable player specifically to his team, and he had the most influential impact on his team's success, which I don't think would be the case with AD because of also the fact that they have LeBron James, which might split the vote for MVP Laker votes.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally hear what you guys are saying about Luka. When I was writing it up about AD being MVP, I was really also thinking about Luka, but I figured I'm a Lakers lover, and so I wanted to kind of write something about AD winning MVP because I thought it would be fun, and I do think he has a real good shot to win it. And with that, we will move to the MIP category, Most Improved Player in the NBA. I will start off, and I will talk about Jaylen Brown, who I think is going to win MIP this year. The more I research this pick, the more I like it. Jaylen Brown, towards the end of last season, was already taking vast, quiet steps at improving as a player, including in the playoffs against the Raptors. That is the Jaylen Brown we're going to see right away this upcoming season, like without being in the pressure of a playoff situation at the end of last season. He's just going to be a regular season version of himself with those skills, if that makes any sense. That wasn't well said, but Brown is an excellent shooter. He's an incredible defender, and he's incredibly athletic. And I think he will take significant steps in his game off the dribble specifically. With Hayward leaving and Kemba Walker having a few injury concerns this season, Jaylen Brown will have to shore a lot of the scoring beside Jason Tatum on the Celtics team. And I think he's going to do that, and he's going to see an improvement in all of his numbers across the board. I also think the Celtics are going to win a lot of games this year, which I think counts for this. And I think him being on the Celtics, it's an attractive narrative selection for the media to pick Jaylen Brown for this position. Because I think when Jaylen Brown was drafted and he was kind of just that like athletic kind of like 3-and-D kind of guy, he's really taken strides in a direction to be more of like an all-around NBA star. And so I could see him winning MIP this year. Marco, who's your MIP pick?
I rate that pick, Jake. I didn't see it coming, to be honest. Like, I was looking at just as a side note, I was looking at the Vegas odds for the MIP, for the MVP, defensive player, all these awards that we're talking about. And Jaylen Brown wasn't mentioned in the MIP. So I rate the pick. It's interesting. Yeah, with my pick, I'm going with someone a little bit more basic. I'm going to go with SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Just like Jaylen Brown, he had a very respectable season last year. And last year, he was a guy that was a little polarizing in the sense where he was like, whoa, I don't think a lot of people expected this. He had a breakout season last year. However, the difference between this year and last year is that last year they had Chris Paul. And this year, he is going to be running the team. Like, the keys to the franchise are his. Last year, he averaged 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And this year, he's going to be fantastic, in my opinion. And he's a guy that I just think that has a lot of potential. He's insanely athletic. You know, he's a good passer, a great scorer, just like a natural finisher. I think the one thing that does take away from his thing that maybe I see more value, I guess you could call it, in Jaylen Brown is that Jaylen Brown is on a better team. I mean, everyone slept on OKC last season as well, but I don't know. OKC's roster is so weird with all the like draft picks they're getting and just giving away all their players that I don't see them making the playoffs necessarily. But I do see Shai having an amazing year. And yeah, I think, you know, I played against him in high school. Just putting it out there. He was really good. Their team beat us, I think, by like 60 points. McNabb, beat Westmount. I went to Westmount High School in grade 9. I was a bench warmer, and he absolutely, him and everyone else on McNabb, they destroyed our team. So yeah, he's really good. I'm going to go Shai.
Yeah, so it's I guess it's my pick then. I had 2 written down. One of them was SGA. But because you went with that, Marco, I'll go with my second pick, which is Markelle Fultz, point guard for the Orlando Magic. SGA and Fultz are 2 of my favorite players in the league. I just love these guys. But I like Markelle Fultz to I like his odds to win Rookie of the Year, just because I really believe in him as a player. Like, this was the first overall pick, and obviously he's been through a lot since then, but he's still got all the talent in the world. You know, obviously I'm seeing reports that he's working on his shooting stroke. And, you know, you never really know with those reports how realistic they are. But, you know, I believe in the player. I believe in, you know, the work ethic of him. And I just think he's part of the future with them. Got to stop being this perennial 8 seed that, you know, just gets the floor just gets mopped with them by the 1 seed in the East. So I think they just got to give him a larger role, see what they have in him. And like I said, I think if they do that, we're going to see big production from Markelle Fultz.
Kale?
Oh, we might be experiencing some technical difficulties.
All right, I think Sneed's.
Kale, can you hear us?
I think we lost Aiden, so
No,
I can hear you guys.
I think we lost you. Are you with us?
Uh-oh. What happened, boys?
I think you just lagged out a little bit, man. But are you back now? Are you all good?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
For MIP. Can you hear me, man?
Yeah, boys, my Wi-Fi's not working for some reason. This is fucking so burnt.
All right, Lukey, do you want to go while Kale?
Yeah, I'll go. So my pick for most improved player is my boy from Kitchener, Ontario, Jamal Murray. Based on his playoff performance last year, I think if he can even do a fraction of what he did in the playoffs and maintain that throughout the entire season, I think he's a shoo-in for this award. He in the regular season he averaged 18.5 points per game, and in the playoffs he averaged 26.5. Even if he can average somewhere in like the 23 range, which I think is very possible based on the dominance that he showed in the playoffs alongside Jokic, I think he would definitely be the favorite to win this award. Just based on the way that he kind of like asserted himself as prior to the playoffs, he was kind of like maybe considered to be a top 10 point guard in the NBA. Whereas in the playoffs, he showed that he has the potential and the talent to be a top 5 point guard in the NBA. And if he can kind of rise to that level and fulfill the expectations that he set for himself in the playoffs, I think he's got to be a favorite for this to win this award.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if the Nuggets can achieve what they did last year as well and finish in the top half of the Western Conference standings, whether it be 2 or just achieve home court advantage going into the playoffs. He'll have to be a big part of that, especially with how deep the Western Conference is. And I think if he can pull that off, Jamal Murray's got to be a favorite for this award.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another Nuggets player, and I'll get to that in a second. But I think with the Jamal Murray most improved case, the same thing that you were mentioning before could possibly be a detraction to his case for the award, and that's that he set such high expectations for himself in the playoffs. Jamal Murray, in like every playoff series that we saw him play in the bubble pretty much, was one of the best players on the floor. And while I think Jamal Murray is a fantastic player, I don't know if he can necessarily exceed that performance enough to be like a favorite for most improved, because that's now the expectation that people have for Jamal Murray, right? To be that sort of player. So if he just goes out and does the same thing, I don't know if he can take the most improved just by doing that.
Well, he can't exceed what he did in the playoffs because that's not sustainable. But when they vote on these awards, they base it on regular season only. It's not based on playoff performance. Just to mention. But
all right, yes, fair enough. I'm actually going to go with another Nuggets player for my most improved pick, and that's Michael Porter Jr. And the reason for this is, as you guys know, I'm sure, that the Nuggets overwent a pretty decent roster overhaul in terms of their forwards this offseason with the departures of Jeremy Grant and Torrey Craig. And I think this is going to boost Michael Porter Jr. into becoming a consistent every night starter on the wing for them. In 8 games starting in the regular season last year, Porter was an explosive offensive talent, but we didn't really get to see him really reach his full potential in the minutes he was playing. However, I think that with Michael Malone starting to use him more, he increased Porter's court time from 16 minutes to 24 minutes per game in the postseason. And during that time, Michael Porter Jr. averaged 11 points, 7 rebounds on 38% shooting from outside, which is pretty good. A reason for this is I think that a lot of what Michael Porter Jr. does isn't really shown in the box score. Denver's offensive rating climbs by 10 points from 106 to 116 with MPJ on the floor versus him off the floor. And this climbs even more when he's playing with Jokic and Murray. So I think that the fact that Michael Malone is starting to rely on Porter a lot more, increasing his minutes, and this impact is being seen in their offense, I think it's going to make Michael Porter Jr. a big breakout candidate this season.
Yeah, I could absolutely see it also because MPJ hasn't really done anything significant so far. So any step forward is an improvement pretty much from coming off the bench. For Rookie of the Year, that's our next category here. And I'll start us off with a name I would think that we would hear again through the U4 guys as well, but that's LaMelo Ball. I mean, I just think LaMelo on Charlotte, he just has to do what they kind of drafted him to do, run the team. LaMelo's going to have really, really great nights where Bleacher Report's snapping about him and posting awesome edits of him. And like, he's going to nail some nasty threes, but he's also going to have nights where he, shoots like 4 of 17 and has like 8 turnovers. Like I could also see those nights happening, but regardless of how many of each night there is, all he needs to do is just lead Charlotte to winning more games than they did last year. And I could see him winning Rookie of the Year. His numbers will probably reflect a Rookie of the Year season. Not a Luca Rookie of the Year season, but like a normal Rookie of the Year season. And that's all he really has to do. And I don't think there are many other guys that, and I mean, once again, as I can't remember which player it was, but I think it was Luca for MVP. As Kale was saying, the narrative's already kind of just become that I could see similar things happening with LaMelo, that the narrative is already kind of becoming him being the Rookie of the Year, perhaps. And with Marco, who's your Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. I think one thing that just needs to be said about this draft, if you didn't watch our draft video, is that it's not like other drafts where there's a very heavy favorite. And I think that's definitely reflected in just like the odds in Vegas and kind of our group's opinion on about who's going to win it. Because I think there's kind of like LaMelo or Obi Toppin or, you know, whoever, maybe even like Cole Anthony has a shot at this. I was going to say LaMelo, but then I was scrolling down in the odds and I saw the name Bol. And I think that is a super interesting pick for Rookie of the Year. And some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, he played in the bubble. And yeah, he did play in the bubble, but technically he's going into his rookie season. It's kind of like the same thing of the Simmons and Donovan Mitchell argument. So yeah, I was originally going to go with LaMelo Ball, and I still like kind of am going with LaMelo Ball, but I think it's just kind of funny and also, you know, kind of a possibility as well. Like Bol, I've seen some practice videos, and the man literally looks like a taller Kevin Durant. Like he is so tall that when his release is up here, like a 6'7", 6'8" player, when they're reaching up to block him, can't even get close to the ball. So I think he could be a crazy offensive threat, and you know, he's just like a funny, like lanky guy, and I think there's a lot of like no one really kind of hates him. You know, he's like a likable guy. So yeah, I think if it's not, I kind of am in on the LaMelo take, but because I have nothing else to say with LaMelo, you kind of covered everything that I agree with. Yeah, I'll go with Bol.
I think that's a great take with Bol. I love that. I think I watched the same video as you of him in practice. Like his, can't believe it. Like that's going to be deadly if he's the fact that he's in contention for the rookie, you know, some NBA experience. I like that a lot. My pick is going to be James Wiseman though. And the reason why there's, but number one, he's on the best team of all the Rookie of the Year candidates, or the obvious Rookie of the Year candidates, I should say. So he has the best chance to win games in the regular season, which is obviously what they count for the award. And then number two, he's going to have a bigger role than they probably were imagining when they were sitting there with the second overall pick and they had Klay Thompson, and then he gets hurt. I think it was on draft day. So they probably have a bigger role for him imagined. The other thing is that he's going to benefit from playing in the Warriors system with and I think with that in mind, rack up the stats and get some blocks and rebounds. Good case for Rookie of the Year with those stats. So that's my pick, James Wiseman, Rookie of the Year.
I really like the point that you bring up about him having a bigger role on the team, and I think that's where I like to put my Rookie of the Year takes, and guys that are, one, going to have a big role on their team, and two, are the most NBA ready prospects. And a guy that I think also falls into this category that I'm going to take with my Rookie of the Year pick is Killian Hayes on the Pistons. He finds himself in a very similar situation to LaMelo Ball in that he's a young point guard and he's immediately being kind of like handed the keys to an NBA offense. A big thing with Killian Hayes that I like is that he's coming out of the French A-League, so he's already proven himself that he's capable of playing against men in a professional setting. And I think that as we see European prospects come into the league, Luka is a very extreme example of this, obviously. But I think these guys are shown to be more ready to transition to NBA level competition when they've already played in an overseas men's professional league. And I think a combination of this and the fact that Killian Hayes has the keys to this Pistons offense already, I could see him having a very big rookie season and being a strong Rookie of the Year candidate.
So my pick was also Killian Hayes, and it was for the exact same reasons that Kale just mentioned. The fact that he's coming from a professional league and he's already proven himself against men and professional basketball players, and also the fact that he's going to get so many minutes in Detroit that he's going to have every opportunity imaginable to get to be their main guy and to put up the numbers that would be required to win this award. But just a side note, I'm a little bit upset that nobody mentioned fucked guy for this award. I think that would have been a sweet take, but we'll just have to see how the season goes, I guess.
Just to cut in on fucked guy, he is like the 15th favorite.
Really?
Yeah, he's in the top 15, but just barely. Like he is like
that'd
the 15th.
That'd be a good guy to put your money on, eh?
Malachi.
Just in case, just a few bucks, because you could probably make a lot of money if he pulled it off. And I bet you the OKC Thunder think he's going to do it. So.
Yeah, he's plus 6,000. And also Malachi Flynn from the Raptors, same odds as fucked guy, as Pokuševski, or how.
The problem is with Pokuševski is that he actually has to play in a professional setting before we even know how good at basketball he is.
Yeah.
So that's just one minor problem with him. We'll keep it short for Defensive Player of the Year because, we're not here to tell you why these guys are amazing defenders. You already know that. My pick's Anthony Davis. I could see this kind of goes hand in hand with my AD MVP take, that I think this is going to be a season where he wins both. And I think I can see it already not already, but I can foresee a situation where very few players have won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP in the same season. And I think it would be good for the NBA for Anthony Davis to win it. And I don't need to explain why AD is an amazing defender. I already did in my MVP take, but Anthony Davis is Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I love that take. I think if you don't have AD in your top 5, I think you're of players in the NBA, I think you're tripping a little. I think AD just in general as a player gets undervalued sometimes because when he was on the Pelicans, he was like losing in earlier playoffs. And then now that he's on the Lakers, he's the second best player, right? But like AD is literally the best or one of the best, defenders in the entire league. As well as being one of the best offensive players in the entire league. So I love AD for the pick as well, but I am going to go with, I just made it sound like I was going to go with AD. But just to be different, I'll go with Bam Adebayo. I like the Bam Adebayo pick as well. Like that block that he had on, I think it was Jason Tatum in the playoffs, right at the rim to win the game. That was one of the best defensive plays I've ever seen, just watching basketball, with my own eyes. Like that was insane. Such a good block. And I think that stuff by Bam is not, that was a 1 in a million kind of block, but I think things like that Bam can do on a regular basis. He's so athletic. He just signed a big contract and I think he has, he has a lot to prove. And I just like the Bam Adebayo pick. I like the Heat, and he's a hard worker. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. As much as I'd like to be original here, both of my picks were AD and Bam. Those were my top 2. I think 8 for AD. It just is like kind of a makeup award because he was right there on the fringe with. It was kind of a toss up between those two who was going to win. So it would be kind of that if he gets it this year. And then with Bam, just what Marco was saying, I had written down in the bubble. I think he kind of showed the kind of defender that he is, a kind of rim protector that he can be. And he just makes such a huge impact on the Heat. I think that gives him a leg up. And I'll just say before, I think we can't sleep on Giannis or Rudy Gobert winning it either. I think those are 2 really nice candidates just to kind of come up with 2. Obviously, they've won it in the past. But I think if I had to pick, I would just go with Bam. I think that's my favorite defense.
Yeah. Like I'm just going to be saying the exact same thing again. Like, give me another round of AD. I think he's one of the better defenders in the league by a pretty decent margin. And you guys know my opinion on this, that I think he should have won last year over Giannis. I think he was a pretty clear pick. So yeah, give me Anthony Davis, Defensive Player of the Year. That's all I have to say about it.
My pick is also Bam Adebayo. I can't say anything else that hasn't already been said, but I think it's worth mentioning that if he does win Defensive Player of the Year, he gets Supermax at 27.5% of Miami Heat's cap space. So if he can pull that off, he's going to be a rich man, and there's his motivation to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a battle between the two of those guys, I think. Even though it's interesting, Gobert was the favorite, I believe, right, Marco? Or Gobert was the favorite? Yeah. So that's pretty interesting because I think he's not the favorite in my eyes, or in any of our eyes. But yeah, thank you for watching our award prediction videos for the NBA season, and we will see you next time. Thanks.